A very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Blow Your Mind for Season 3 Talk Show. Today we are focusing on an issue at the very heart of education, building positive learning spaces, a discussion of effective environments. I'm Dr. Esther Lo, your moderator. We have a fantastic panel of experts with us today. Dr. Daniel, a researcher in educational space design, Mr. Key, a counselor, Mr. Zul, a senior teacher with vast experience in classroom climate, Ms. Professor Florenshe, a lecturer in educational psychology and student motivation. Welcome and thank you all for taking the time to share your knowledge and experience with us. The environment in which we learn is not just a backdrop. It actively shapes how students feel, behave, and absorb information. Today, we will unpack the psychology behind effective learning spaces. With that in mind, let's begin with our first question. How can teachers build a positive classroom climate that makes students feel safe and respected? Dr. Daniel, could you start us off?
Thank you, Dr. Esther, for the insightful question. The physical environment facilitates a positive climate in the classroom. Open plan design to facilitate visibility, natural lighting, and movement ensure that students feel part of the school and safe. Pianta and Hamre 2009 found that classroom design has an effect on relational trust and emotional safety. To illustrate, the desk can be arranged in a U shape to allow the teachers to see the eyes and the students to freely discuss something to make them understand that their presence is important. Psychological safety is strengthened when the students are physically perceived and treated with respect.
Thank you so much for that valuable insight, Dr. Daniel. I like how you highlight the influence of the desk physical layout in a U shape is the first step toward psychological safety. Mr. Key, how do we build on this physical foundation to create emotional safety?
Well, we as teachers can build on this by, of course, building a positive climate by showing care and respect, setting fair rules, and ensuring students feel valued. For us to allow students to have a voice in their learning, it increases motivation and trust. This in turn leads to, promoting a sense of belonging where students support one another, reduces anxiety, and fosters confidence. In addition, making lessons relevant to student lives also show that their perspectives matter, creating an atmosphere of safety and mutual respect.
Thank you for that perspective, Mrs. Key. You have emphasized the active ingredients that fill the physical space with emotional safety. Mr. Zul, what does this look like in daily practice?
Alright, so a positive classroom climate practically can be built through mutual respect, emotional safety, trust, and a sense of belonging. According to Pianta, Hamre, and Allen, 2012, they stated that students are able to learn actively in a safe environment where they feel emotional safety and valued. Hence, teachers should be more intentional with their approach to the students, such as encouraging open communication between teacher and students, implementing strategies while providing feedback, and being respectful to guide students correctly. This could foster a healthy and supportive learning environment for students which are helpful for their learning process.
That is very detailed, Mr. Zul. You have given us practical strategies like open communication and respectful feedback that make the theory tangible. Professor Florenshe, from from your perspective as a lecturer, how does this climate impact motivation?
Thank you, Dr. Esther. Well, I believe that the social cultural theory by Vygotsky fits the situation quite well. Students are also able to learn well in a conducive atmosphere where they feel appreciated. Teachers develop trust through respect, fair rules, and allowing students to express their opinions. With the classroom as a safe space, students get more motivated to participate and get risky in the process of learning. That's all from me.
Excellent points. Thank you, Professor Florenshe. You have connected in climate directly to motivation and cognitive risk-taking, which is where deep learning occurs. So, to synthesize, we have a powerful sequence. The physical environment set the stage by Dr. Daniel, positive relationships built with emotional safety by Mr. Key, intentional teacher practices bring it to daily life by Mr. Zhu, and this entire system fuels the motivation to learn by Professor Florenshe. From my perspective, this aligns with their mobile et al. At 2020, suggesting an effective environment is where students feel safe and valued to engage actively, combining the physical, social, emotional strategies you have outlined creates the supportive foundation necessary for both academic success and emotional well-being, as outlined in our authoritative management model. Let's move on to our second question. What are some effective strategies to manage misbehavior without disrupting the whole class? Mr. Daniel and Dr. Daniel, perhaps you can start with the environmental angle.
I believe that space design can help minimize misbehavior through the minimization of triggers. As an example, creating special quiet zones can assist the overstimulated students in controlling themselves without disrupting others. According to Marzano, 2003, organized learning spaces play a major role in minimizing disruptions. It is also possible to have teachers organize high-traffic areas, such as supply stations out of teaching to prevent unnecessary movement. To illustrate, bookshelves can be placed at the back to avoid crowding around the board. By keeping the students in orderly places, they tend to be less likely to misbehave, and teachers can redirect the behavior without drawing attention.
Thank you, Dr. Daniel. So the key idea is proactive design to prevent misbehavior before it starts, which is a fantastic first line of defense. Mr. Key, when misbehavior occurs, what are the subtle interpersonal strategies?
As a teacher, we can quietly address misbehavior through private talks, redirection, or ignoring minor distractions when they don't spread. The key here is consistency and fairness. Students notice when rules are enforced equally. So, encouraging self regulation, recognizing microaggressions, and using positive reinforcement helps maintain order without embarrassing anyone. For persistent issues, however, involving parents or structured interventions may be necessary, and so this ensures that discipline is there while protecting the learning flow for the rest of the class.
Thank you, Mr. Key. You have highlighted the importance of consistency, fairness, and private, supporting redaction to main student dignity and instructional flow. Mrs. Zul, as a senior teacher, how does this approach look in the heat of the moment?
So the reason for students' misbehavior in class could vary. Additionally, in a modern educational context, teachers should be able to handle this situation professionally. Hence, teachers can apply a private correction strategy which was introduced by Jones 2007 to confront and address the issue privately. This way, the teacher is able to protect the misbehaved student's dignity and minimize disruptions in class, which is considered as the best approach for teachers to confront misbehavior in class.
Thank you, Mr. Zul. The private correction strategy is a perfect example. Professor Florenshe, from a theoretical standpoint, why is this approach effective?
Thank you, Dr. Esther. Well, frankly speaking about that, not all misbehaviors require a great reaction. Reinforcement is more effective compared to punishment like behaviorism proposed by Skinner. Overlooking small disturbance, complimenting positive behavior, or having a word with students, when it is private, of course, can maintain order without causing embarrassment to anybody. Uniformity and equity are important because students are aware of what to anticipate. That's all.
Many thanks, Professor Florenshe. You have grounded it We have grounded this in behavioral theory, emphasizing reinforcement and predictability over punishment. So to summarize our strategies, we start with proactive environmental design by Dr. Daniel, the use of consistent and private reflection, redirection by Mr. Key and Mr. Zhu, and the reliance on positive reinforcement based on sound theory by Professor Florenshe. These strategies exemplify the principle of consistent and fair management. The proactive and subtle approaches you describe are the key to maintain a productive learning environment. This reflects the concept of willingness described by Cronin 1970, where teacher awareness helps address issues without disrupting the flow of learning for others, ensuring all students can stay focused. Now, for our third question, does the physical setup of the classroom really influence learning outcome? If yes, how? Dr. Daniel, I believe you have a compelling statistic to share.
Yes, definitely. The physical setup has a strong influence on the learning outcomes. Barrett, 2015, discovered that classroom design affects up to 16% of student development. The proper lighting, ventilation, and the flexibility of the seating positions contribute to concentration and teamwork. As an example, round tables facilitate conversation and square tables support group work. The poor design, including cramped rows, could stress and restrict participation. The carefully planned environment sends the message that the learning of students is valued, which enhances motivation and academic outcomes.
Thank you, Dr. Daniel. Up to 16% impact is a striking number that underscores the importance of this topic. Mr. Zul, from experience, how does this theory play out?
Speaking of experiences, I do agree that the physical environment significantly influences learning outcomes as it affects students in various aspects, such as cognitively, emotionally, and also behavioral. In constructivism learning theory by Vygotsky, it provides insights that flexible seating and layout does affect students' learning. Teachers can adjust the seating in class according to what is best for the lesson. For example, rounded settings, V-shaped settings, personalized settings, and more. This way, students will be more excited and be able to engage learning, especially activities, uh, more actively instead of being passive with dull seating design. This shows that classroom design does place a huge impact toward students' motivation through extrinsic factors which significantly influence students' learning.
Thank you, Mr. Zul. You have given a perfect example of theory meeting practice. Mr. King, from your perspective, how does the physical environment affect student well-being and focus?
Well, the way a classroom is arranged can directly affect focus, collaboration, and engagement. So, for example, certain seating patterns promote teamwork, as Dr. Daniels once said. Square and round can affect teamwork and attention, while others may help with independent work. If students always sit by friends, it may cause distractions. And so, a well arranged classroom reduces these behavior problems, helps direct attention to learning, and creates an organized atmosphere where students feel a bit more comfortable participating in.
Thank you, Mr. Key. You have highlighted the impact on emotional well-being and focus, and also taken an exact example from Dr. Daniel. Professor Florenshe, is the physical setup a reflection of teaching philosophy?
Thank you, Dr. Esther. Yes, I definitely agree on all of the panelists' opinion just now they mentioned. Sitting layout may have an impact on concentration, teamwork, and attention, which is drawing is good when you are looking at quiet work, whereas groups promote working together. A flexible system will facilitate the multiple intelligence proposed by Gardner because some students can learn best in an interactive settings, but others require some space. That's all for me.
Thank you, Professor Florenshe. You have connected this to multiple intelligence, showing that flexible design acknowledges and supports diverse learning preferences. The consensus is clear. The physical environment is an active agent in learning, impacting focus, behavior, emotional state, as well as pedagogical approach. The emphasis on classroom managed arrangement directly influences collaboration and focus. The examples show how the physical space is a form on built pedagogy, actively encouraging certain behaviors. A well-organized environment is a foundation aspect of the effective, well-organized learning environment that supports student engagement and social emotional needs. Now, for our fourth question, how can teachers keep students actively engaged, especially when they lose focus during lessons? Professor Florenshe, may we begin with you this time?
In my opinion, it is all about diversity and topicality. Assuming that the students lost concentration, I would change the activity. Perhaps add some movement, questions, or relate the lessons to real-world examples. Transitions in short or structured tasks are good. Students will be less likely to lose focus when they are aware of the intended goal of learning. Now I'll pass it on to Mr. Zul. What's the most common problem that teachers encounter while teaching? Mr. Zul?
As a senior teacher, I think that the most common problem that teachers encounter while teaching is maintaining students' engagement in class. Students are hard to stay engaged with continuous input learning styles where they keep receiving information for a long period of time. Hence, teachers can adjust their teaching method by applying the chunk lesson method. It breaks lessons into smaller and manageable parts to maintain students' engagement, according to Rosenshine 2012. For example, teachers can present content with shorter segments and implement interactive activities in teaching strategies to minimize the chance for students to lose focus in class. This approach reduces cognitive load in students while teaching. So, how about you, Mr. Key?
Well, as for me, we as teachers can maintain engagement by planning activities at the right difficulty level, structuring lessons with smooth transitions, and keeping tasks meaningful. When students lose focus, adjusting methods like adding interactive activities, group work, or even real life applications can respark student interest. Conan's theory of rootedness, which is regularly monitoring the classroom, can also help teachers notice when focus dips and get back on task. So Daniel, his opinion on this.
Well, my take on this is that spatial dynamics is associated with engagement. Flexible settings or breakout areas can allow the teacher to rearrange the task as attention drops. According to Fredericks 2004, physical variation facilitates cognitive and behavioral interest. To illustrate this, a student can switch their personal work at the desk to a discussion zone and get refreshed and energetic. The use of interactive screens or student desks also contributes to the avoidance of boredom. Through creative use of space, teachers gain attention again and maintain engagement.
Thank you, Dr. Daniel, for highlighting how spatial dynamics and flexible seating can physically re-engage attention. So, these strategies directly support the optimal learning that requires a well-organized environment for active engagement by Connor et al. In 2014. Using spatial stages, chunking lessons, and maintaining readiness are practical ways to adapt teaching and reduce cognitive load to keep students to stay focused and motivated throughout the lessons. Finally, for our last questions, how can teachers create a classroom environment that supports students' mental health and emotional well-being? Dr. Daniel, can we start with you?
Absolutely. A physical classroom can help to foster well-being through minimizing stress and enhancing comfort. Easygoing colors, natural lighting, and silent areas offer emotional balance to the students. Evidence based on research on environmental psychology, according to Evans 2006, indicates that supportive environments reduce anxiety and enhance learning. As an illustration, they can be a reading corner with cushions where students can relax, then resume their activities. These environments convey empathy and concern, which strengthen mental health services in addition to educational instructions. How about you, Mr. Zul? What is your perspective on this?
Okay, so in my perspective, students' mental health and emotional state is considered as a crucial aspect which happens to significantly influence their learning. Students who are facing those kinds of issues often become unmotivated and disengaged in their daily lives. Hence, teachers could create a classroom environment that concerns about students' mental health and emotional well-being by fostering positive relationships with students. This allows teachers to get to know with their students, encourages open communication where students are allowed to vent about their personal problems. This way, students will have the sense of belonging where their emotional state will not be ignored, which ensures their mental health and emotional well-being in class. What is the view of you on this, Mr. Key?
My view on this is that we as teachers can reduce stress by creating a non threatening, goal oriented atmosphere. Giving students some control over their learning builds their confidence and self regulation. Promoting inclusivity, cultural sensitivity, and emotional literacy ensures that no one feels left out. Encouraging kindness, community, and respect helps students feel safe to express themselves. This balance of structure and care fosters both academic progress and emotional well being. Professor Florenshe, what is your opinion on this?
Thank you, Dr. Mr. Key. In my opinion, emotional well-being is the first, as well all of you just mentioned it now. A decrease in stress can be provided by teachers who can establish a non-threatening environment, like Mr. Key's ideas just now, promote inclusion, and of course, avoid bullying. Even little things such as listening, expressing empathy, and congratulating on the effort will make students feel supported. When the emotional climate is positive, it enhances the resiliency and confidence in learning. Now I pass it on to Dr. Esther.
Thank you. Thank you for Professor Florenshe for enforcing that emotional well-being is an essential requirement for learning. And also thank you to Ms. Dr. Daniel, Mr. Key, and Mr. Zul. This holistic approach is essential for creating a safe, valued, and motivating learning community by combining physical space, safe spaces, inclusive practices, and trusting relationships. Teacher directly prevent bullying and build the foundation for both emotional well-being and academic success. All of you have expertly described that we are not just teaching curriculums. We are nurturing the whole child. We are creating a condition for them to flourish. With that, we end our session. Thank you and have a great day.